This week in the conversation, I have the honor to welcome Florida-based author Alisa K. Michaels. She is the author of a young adult series called the Siren Series. But before we get into the video, I just want to remind everyone that it's important to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you do, don't forget to click the notification bell so that way every time a video is posted, it'll go directly into your portable. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ardain Isma, Chief Editor for CSMS Magazine, and I'm here this evening with an impeccable author. Her name is Alisa K. Michaels. Alisa, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, so to begin with, I know you've written the Siren Series, which is a collection so far of 3 books.
Right, yes.
So before we start getting to the book, would you please tell the viewers of CSMS Magazine who is Alisa K. Michaels?
Oh, wow. Well, Alisa K. Michaels is a mom. I have 3 daughters, 2 biological daughters, 1 stepdaughter. The ages are 27, 27, and 22.
Okay.
I am a reading teacher, remedial reading. So I help little kids and actually all the way through high school,
Okay.
how to formulate the basic foundations of reading.
Beautiful.
So that's another one of my passions. I've been a teacher for, oh my goodness, about 15 years now.
Wow.
About 15.
Okay.
And a writer in my soul.
Of course.
Another part of me, I love music and art and good food and a little bit of everything.
We from the Caribbean, we love food and music. That's so
Exactly.
We love that. Great. So yes, the Siren Series. So what really led you to, Alisa, to write this specific, first of all, YA books and also the Siren Series?
My uncle on my father's side was a journalist before he retired.
Okay.
He started off as a news anchor in St. Croix.
Okay.
And then when he moved back to Trinidad, he became a writer for a newspaper called The Guardian.
Okay.
And he did that for many, many, many years and then retired. And up until a few years ago, he would write different pieces, just to stay in that genre. I have a cousin also on my paternal side that is a poet.
Okay.
And I always, I don't know, I kind of just always was drawn to literature and writing, and somehow it just became a passion. I'm not quite sure when it actually became a passion, but it started off young.
So are you saying that it's just creeping into your vein until, I realized that I am a writer too.
I think so, because I always loved the idea of being able to have such creative license,
Okay.
making the characters do what I want them to do when they let me do what they want to do, basically. Because, as a writer, you sit down and you start writing, and I don't know about others, but with mine, I have a sense of where I want it to go.
Okay.
And usually it takes a mind of its own and it goes where it ends up going.
Now, let me ask you something. You're not the first author to tell me that. Authors usually try to direct things, but sometimes they can be directed by the character.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Is that what happened to you?
It did. I had a vision. I had a kind of like the foundations, where I wanted it to take place. the general characters, ages, and just general things that I wanted to start with. But I started, and where I thought I would end up turned out to be a longer path than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So I originally just made Selena's Song to be a standalone book.
Okay.
And it has evolved into, I'm editing the 4th book now. The 5th book is halfway done. And I have exactly a vision of the 6th and possibly a 7th. So
Really?
yes.
So
It's
how many
taken on
you
a life of its
anticipate?
own.
Well, how many you anticipating of conceiving in that series? So you just don't know, right?
I don't. Some people will tell me, oh, I'm going to make this into a trilogy, or I had an idea and it just grew. One book
Okay.
just kept coming, and I kept thinking, well, I can't stop it there. There's so much more to tell. And it just kept going and going, and eventually it'll stop, I think.
Okay, if I may say that your heroine or the protagonist in the story, which is Selena,
Yes.
okay, seemed to be very interesting and character. Pretty
Okay.
strong at time also, especially on book 2.
Yes.
When you take us to Italy.
Right. Yes. They end up in Capri.
Mm-hmm.
And I started them off in, my own little fictitious island, which was based on St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
That's the archetype.
And that's what I thought.
Yes, yes. And I, changed a little bit of it to suit the needs that I have for the book, but the major things are there, and it's, when I write, I picture that. I picture the streets, I picture the beach, I picture the sounds, and that's how I do my writing. I sit down and I just remember.
As if you were giving the divine power to remove St. Thomas from the Caribbean, to surgically remove it and
Yes.
to place it somewhere off the coast of Italy, right?
Well, the island, in the first book, it's described as an island about 30 miles off of the coast of Puerto Rico.
Right.
So it starts off in the Caribbean, and then by book 2, since it is, mythologically based,
Mm-hmm.
it had to go to the Mediterranean.
Correct.
So I did a lot of research. I've never been to the Mediterranean. I've always wanted to go. That's my bucket list. I will end up there one day. But I never ever went. I did research. I looked up all the pictures I could, and I read other people's vacations.
Okay.
And I looked at travel brochures.
Right.
And I just kind of immersed myself into that, and then put my own little siren twist to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So isn't that what we do as writers? That's what we always do, right?
Exactly.
We pen things to our liking.
Exactly.
First.
Yes.
And we try to see if others, can be attracted to it.
Exactly. That's exactly
so
right.
Let me ask you this. Why a book?
The truth is, I wrote it for everybody.
Okay.
It's not, I don't want to say, the only word I can think of is, it's not dumbed down. Kids who read it are going to sometimes have to say, Mom, what does this mean? And hopefully parents will say, why didn't you look that up? And I want them to be able to delve a little bit deeper into meanings and into, I believe as a teacher, you don't just give somebody the answer to something.
Yeah.
You give them the information so they know how to process it.
Correct.
So that they can take that skill and use it for another problem.
Perfect.
So through my book, it's they're thinking, they're wondering, they're putting 2 and 2 together. They're, introduced to different animals that they may have never heard of before, and may have to go on Google and look up pictures. And so that's my hope, that regardless of age, somebody will want to delve a little bit deeper.
So we're talking about, I mean, from middle school, even up to high
I
school.
have most of my fans, believe it or not, are in their 20s and 30s. Some
Okay.
of them are 40s, and they're like, I bought this for my granddaughter. I have a grandma that reads the series, and I bought this for my granddaughter. I wanted to read it to make sure that it was okay for her to read, which is completely understandable.
Correct.
And she has now ended up buying double of each book because she reads it, and as she reads it, she's like, oh my goodness, and she gets one for herself. So,
So I mean,
any age.
this is what you call a double header. So you
Yeah.
want to walking away with two readers in the house.
Yeah, her granddaughter's in a different state, and
Okay.
she sends the books to her,
Okay.
but she says that she reads her copy, and when she read her copy, she said, okay, I'm gonna get a copy for myself. So that's how she's been doing it. She's been reading and then buying, and then the last book, a cappella, she said, I just bought the two books, I didn't even bother to read it first.
Now let me ask you
So
something. You know what really hook people into a story, into a fictional story, is the style and the way the author penned the story. I mean, you can tell any story. I can tell you, you know what? You ask me where I'm going. Or Dan, well, I'm going, I'm really busy. I'm going to a meeting in Jacksonville. But it's just the dry way of saying it.
right.
But if I were to say, you know what, then just walk to the house and picks up the keys and, kisses his wife and, try to spice, he's moving from the house into downtown Jacksonville. That's what really attract the attention of the person.
Exactly. Yes. It's the description. It's the also the love that you have when you give the description. And
Correct.
people can feel it. Just like I can talk to somebody on the phone and hear if they're smiling. You can hear when a person is passionate about their writing, and it
Exactly.
comes out. It comes out.
Exactly. All right. So now we're going to hold on to Selena for a moment, because I know this is something everyone who comes to the conversation, I ask this question, because I know writing an entire manuscript is one part of the story. Being able to find a publisher is another one.
Yes.
Or self-publishing it is another one.
Right.
But there comes the hard question. How do you get the story out there? How do you market yourself? But I went to your website and I see
good.
You have such a sophisticated way of doing it.
Thank you.
So my question is, who really crafted such a, I would say, professional videos for you? Who did that for you?
It's a collaboration. It's my vision, what I envision it to be, and my husband does everything else. I normally listen for the music, and I give him my thoughts. This is what I would like it to look like. This is what I want it to feel like. And my husband does all of the technical.
So he designs it for you.
Yes. I say what I want, and I describe it to the best of my ability. And usually it's him in front of the computer and me next to him saying, no, I don't like that. Wait. No, change it to this. Okay, wait. What's that over there? No, make it a little darker. And he'll sit there and he'll roll his eyes a couple times. He shakes his head. But by the time we're finished with the collaboration, he brings my vision to life with those videos.
In Selena's song, someone with a British accent was reading a portion of the story.
Yes.
Okay. Did you hire someone to do that?
What my husband tells me is just leave it as magic. And so I'm going to leave that as some of my little hidden tricks.
Okay.
That I use for my stuff. So
okay. So now we're getting into really the last part of this conversation, because the conversation really, it's getting so interesting. Yeah. At some point in the conversation, I always start talking about the book itself.
Okay.
Because I know you are a writer, compelling author,
Thank you.
and you understand when a novelistic prose is good. So, having said that, I'm sure you have an author or maybe a couple of authors out there that you consider as your favorite.
Yes,
So who
I do.
is your favorite author?
Okay, this is going to take you aback because they're all pretty much authors I read as a child and a teenager. I love Anne Rice.
Okay.
I'm a very big vampire literature reader, and I remember as a teenager in high school, I got captivated by the movie Interview with the Vampire, and I thought, you know what, the book is always better. So I started reading the book, and then I just had to read all of the books, and I love that.
Okay.
Also, I love P.L. Travers,
Okay.
who wrote Mary Poppins, the original non-Disneyfied
Okay.
Mary Poppins. Dodie Smith, who wrote 101 Dalmatians, the original story.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a classic. That one is a
Yes.
classic.
Oh my goodness. I read that. I think I was in the 6th grade, and I just read it over and over until the pages started to come out of the and I just had to put tape in them to keep them together. I loved it. And Judy Blume. Judy Blume is another. I love her writing because it makes me laugh.
Okay, which is the one?
Oh, that's a hard question. I love them all. If I had to pick, oh, this is hard. This is hard. I'll say P.L. Travers if I had to pick, because it was just such a lovely, whimsical, just I love it. Secret Garden too. See, that's another.
Yeah.
Yes. So
okay.
things. Yes.
I got it. I have it. Well, now this is getting closer. You and I right now, because I know folks from the Caribbean.
Yes.
So they love music.
Yes, we do.
Love what you call that, the food.
Yes, yes.
So you said your parents were born in Trinidad, right?
Yes, my parents are from Trinidad. Yes.
And then they moved to.
They moved to St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where my sister and I were born, and then we left there and we moved to Florida, and I've been here ever since. So, yes.
So were you already a teenager when you moved to Florida?
No, I was 11.
You were 11.
I was 11. Oh. So I had my accent and everything, and
so growing up in the household, was it a kind of multicultural because your parents were born in Trinidad? Yes, I'm sure they brought with them.
Oh, definitely.
You know, the Trinidadian culture, and you know what's true enough. The Creole, the Haitians speak, I speak. It used to be spoken also in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, okay.
And there's a part in Trinidad, they still speak it. I think it's a province in Trinidad called Paramine, something like that. Okay. It's a province in Trinidad, but and there's a growing movement to revive the French-based Creole.
Oh, okay.
That the people from Martinique, from Guadeloupe, from St. Lucia, they speak. I speak.
Okay.
So yeah. So there's some really close ties we as Caribbean.
Yes.
And in fact, when Toussaint Louverture became the general of the island of Saint-Domingue and also wrote a new constitution in 1801, what he wanted to do, he wanted to abolish slavery to the entire Caribbean, from the Leeward Island all the way to the Greater Antilles, and he would create a federation of Caribbean states. That's what he had in mind.
Okay.
So you see, it's a grand vision.
Yes.
Of Toussaint. Yes. Probably that's what makes the Haitians are paying some price for that, the grand vision, not just of Pan-Africanism, but also Pan-Caribbeanism.
Yes, yes. And I love the fact that is what I'm most proud about my culture, is that I have a little bit of everything. And I was brought up in a family that we celebrate our Indian roots, we celebrate our Chinese roots, our African roots, our Venezuelan roots. It's just a lovely mixture, and that I passed it on to my kids, and hopefully they will pass it to their kids.
Yeah, ultimately, ultimately they will. Yes. They will. Now, you know what about the food? You haven't told me.
Oh my goodness. Well, I grew up eating, and I can cook curries, all kinds of different curries. I love stew, stewed chicken, stewed
Blue chicken.
pork. Yes, yes. My mom loves making curry, and we have roti with it,
Is
with,
it part of the Trinidadian cuisine or St. Thomas cuisine?
no, no, no. This is basically, my parents are funny. They, like you said, they kind of had all of their culture that they took with them from Trinidad,
Uh-huh.
and I had the lovely opportunity that not they were not the only ones who moved. It was like the family moved.
Okay.
So we would still get together on holidays and have, the music going, and the kids running around, and the
Is that
parents
soca?
talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh gosh. Yes, soca and calypso, and you
Yeah,
got some
yeah.
reggaeton thrown in there, and of course you got your reggae with your Bob Marley and your Peter Tosh, and you
Wow.
just, and then I grew up here, so then I incorporated all of the American music with it.
Exactly.
So that's what I show on my website. It's like I love music. If it stops me, it doesn't matter what it is. It just makes me move, and I'm like, okay, that's what we're going with.
I think it's one of the greatest gifts that God has given to mankind,
Yes.
which is music.
I agree. I agree.
Now, okay, so we talk about music, we talk about food, but is there a particular one in the house that you love to cook for your husband and children?
Oh my goodness. See, you're asking me such difficult questions here. I have to narrow it down. I love aloo pie.
Okay.
Which is, just our version with the potato instead of meat.
Okay.
And you have your different seasonings in there. Curry chicken, curry, anything I love. Seafood. When I was a child, I disliked seafood like you would not believe. And as I grew up, I started liking fish and shrimp and crab. So now it's like my soul is probably now complete because I love seafood and I incorporate that with it. But a little bit of everything, because my mom is an eclectic cook and we just grew up with everything. So
now my last question. Okay, is there a lesson that you would want to use to teach the world about the power of reading? And what would it be?
What would it be? Just, first of all, you can't judge everything. You cannot be, you are not the one, is what I'm saying. And yes, you have to respect other people. You have to respect other cultures. You have to respect different ideas that may not sound like your own.
Right.
So growing up as a multiracial person, I went through a lot of different things, especially with people wanting me to choose, and my answer was always, I don't have to choose.
Yeah, correct.
I can be all of these together. So
exactly.
Yes. So that's what I would like people to do. Just open their minds a little bit.
Okay.
Open their minds.
All right. And with that, I'm just going to say it's been such a pleasure to have such impeccable multicultural author in the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time. Thank you.